Welcome to another very exciting Premiere Pro tutorial. In this tutorial, we will look at how we can create a clean cinematic looking title in Premiere. So without further ado, let's crack on. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab the type tool, and I can do that simply by clicking here on this icon in the tools bar or using the keyboard shortcut, which is the T key. Let me first of all write my title, which is visit my country, and now I'm going to write my subtitle here as well, which is it's beautiful. And now I'm going to do some alignment and basic styling. So firstly, we're going to bring the anchor point to the center by dragging it using the mouse while pressing the command key if you're on Mac or control key if you're on Windows. And now let's go into the essential graphics panel and align the text first. Okay, so I think yeah, that all looks fine. And now let's do some basic and styling too if we are here. So I'm going to check the font, and yeah, okay. And now I am going to increase the font size over here. Okay, and now let's just align it once again. Okay, so all looks good. Now I'm going to draw a line separating my title and subtitle, and I can do that simply by selecting this rectangle from the tools bar or by clicking on this icon in the essential graphics panel. So let's do that. And yeah, the size is okay. And now I'm going to draw another rectangle which will be the border of our title. So let's do that too. Okay, and yeah, it all looks good. And now I'm going to go into my essential graphics panel once again, and we'll change the color by coming down here. And I just want to make sure that the border is not too thick or too fine. And yeah, it's perfect now. And I'm just going to make sure that these are aligned centrally. Okay, cool. So now I'm just going to do one more thing here, and that is to rename both of these shapes. And I can do that simply by coming here in the essential graphics panel and then right clicking and then selecting rename. So I'm going to rename this one as the border, and then I'm going to rename this one as the middle line. I mean, it's just going to help us when we are adding effects in the effect controls tab. I mean, it will be easier for us to identify what's what. Okay, so now that we have created our content, let's add some effects so we can animate it to give a cinematic look. The first thing I'm going to do is select my title in the effect controls tab so I can start adding some effects. Now I want my title to gradually blur in and then blur out, and to do that I'm going to apply the Gaussian blur effect on it. And to do that I'm going to go into the effects tab and type in a Gaussian blur, and yeah, there it is. And now I'm just going to drag it and drop it on my graphics layer. Okay, so now that I've added the effect, let's add some keyframes as well to tell Premiere that at what point in our timeline we want this effect to take place. So let's add a keyframe here at the start and blur the title, and I'm going to set the value at 100. Now as you can see that we have blurred our title, and then I want to see my title back clearly at this point. So I'm going to create another keyframe here by clicking on this icon and setting the value at 0. Now let's see what we've done so far. Okay, cool. So now for the outro, I want the title to be shown till 8 seconds. So I will add another keyframe at this point with the same parameters, and from here I want it to gradually blur out. So I'm going to set my last keyframe at this point, setting the blurriness to 100 again. The text is now gradually blurring in and out, but doesn't look the way I want it. So let's add another effect and use opacity to make it look smoother. So I'm going to come here in the opacity and we'll create a keyframe at the start by clicking on this icon, and we'll set the opacity at 0. And now you can see that we got rid of our title straight away. And now I'm going to move my play hat further where the text starts appearing, and we'll set another keyframe setting my opacity back to 100. Now on the 8th second I will set another keyframe with the same parameters, and then on the last one I will set my opacity back to 0 again. Okay, cool. So now let's play this and see what we've done. Okay, I think this looks awesome now, and this is exactly what I wanted. So now that we've animated our text, let's animate this line and the border as well. So I'm going to select the middle line here in the effect controls tab, and now under the scale option I'm going to untick this uniform scale box. Now I'm going to create a keyframe at the start and we'll set the value at 0. and now I want this line to start appearing as soon as my title starts appearing. So at this point in my timeline, I'm going to add another keyframe and we'll set the value at 100. Now, just before the text starts fading out, I am going to set another keyframe with the same parameters, and then I'm going to create my last keyframe over here and we'll set the value at 100. So let's play this and see how it looks. Okay, I think that looks really nice. Now, guys, we can take this a bit further too by adding some more effects in here. So let's do that first. So I'm going to go into my title first and we'll come down here in the scale and we'll create my first keyframe with the original parameters just when this text starts to appear. And now I'm going to move in my timeline and we'll add another keyframe to scale this in at 110. Now I'm going to move further in my timeline, and at this point I will add another keyframe with the same parameters. And now just before our text starts to fade out, I'm going to create my last keyframe, reverting back to the original parameters. Now let's do the same for our subtitle as well. So let me select the subtitle here in the effect controls tab, and now I'm going to go into the scale effect and we'll create my first keyframe just here when our text starts to appear with the original values. And now I'm going to move in my timeline, and at this point I want the subtitle to scale in. So I'm going to create a keyframe here by clicking on this icon with the value of 110. And now moving further again in the timeline, and at this point I will add another keyframe with the same parameters, and now the last keyframe in the end, setting the value back to 100. So let's play this and see how it looks. Okay, now you can see it looks really great. Now we've animated our text, we have animated our line, we've animated our border as well. So now the only other thing I'm going to do here is add a Gaussian blur effect to our video clip as well. So let me go into the effects tab and drag this Gaussian blur and drop it on my video clip. So now I'm going to go into the effect controls tab and we'll create my first keyframe by clicking on this icon at the start, setting the blurriness at 100. And just when our title starts to fade out, I will add another keyframe, setting the blurriness back to 0. Okay, now let's play it and see how it looks. Okay, I think this looks awesome now. So guys, this is how you can create a clean cinematic title in Premiere. And as I always say, you can be very creative with this stuff. So do not hesitate to try different effects. So that's really it from me now. I hope you found this video useful. I hope you liked this video, and do let me know how you're getting on with this stuff. And I'm now going to see you in the next video. So till then, you take care of yourself.